Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about is ChatGPT-4 alive or not? So let's dive right into it. So because this word has been made into a buzzword, we have to kind of simplify things first. So AI is just a tool that's supposed to work for you exactly like how Photoshop works, exactly like Adobe Premiere, but it has to work with minimal user input. Meaning, right now, if you want to do background blur in Photoshop, you bring the thing, you do masking, and then you do stuff. What AI should allow you, put it there, click a button, background, done. So that's the whole point of AI, exactly how your smartphone also has AI. Now, AI is an umbrella term. There are many components that make up an AI, like exactly how you have electrical wiring, you have power systems, you have water plumbing and all that jazz that makes up a house. But those words came into public consciousness confusing people. Like many times people, instead of saying we have a AI or basic AI, they're gonna say we have neural network. It's like, dude, you just have a AI. You don't have a neural network. I do not need to know. That's one layer of abstraction below. I do not need to know the component level. So you always have to understand AI is the umbrella term, and almost everything nowadays has AI. It's just there are many levels of it. Exactly how we have self-driving car, that is level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6. Same with AI. There are very simple AIs, like for example the AI that is running facial recognition on me and finding my face and focusing on it, modern cameras and all that jazz. That's a very simple level. And then you have complex level like ChatGPT. So it's an umbrella term. It covers everything. And there are many components that make this puppy possible, like machine learning, neural network, decision tree, data mining, deep learning. All this buzzword, quote unquote, are the component level stuff of AI. So what is an AI inherently? It's just this puppy, neural network. Now, what is this neural network? Somebody early days, as in like 1950s kind of days, figured out how the heck this puppy works. Now, inherently, we do not understand this, how this works on a whole aggregate level, but we do understand there are neurons, and neurons are interacting with other neurons while acting like an analog computer. Meaning packet of energy goes from one neuron to another neuron and it gets changed, and if it does enough time, then you have processing. So this is the whole idea of neural networks. And if you have watched a very old TV shows known as Star Trek, The Next Generation, Data always used to talk about like how it has neural network. And I found that very odd that back in 70s they had a TV show that was talking about neural network. We had mechanical computer for centuries. We had analog computer for a few decades, half century almost. Digital computers are kind of new. So we are the first time right now we can run this puppy efficiently, meaning our substrate technology has reached it. Like, could we run neural network on mechanical computers? No. Could we run them on analog? Somewhat, not very practically, but somewhat we can do that. And there are like some very old MIT projects that did try to do that. It was just not very reliable or efficient. Now in digital substrate, like as in like silicon technology, we can run this puppy like there is no tomorrow. So this is it. And what is it? It's just nodes, and each node interacting with other nodes and then creating a collective system. So you have input node, you have processing node, which we call magic, and then you have output node, which user gets. Now, how the heck these things work? Nobody understands. Meaning even the people and engineers who are making this, they do not know how it interacts, because that interaction is the life part. That's the part that is growing, quote unquote. That's the part you are, quote unquote, training. So what are these nodes? These nodes are what we call mathematical functions. Meaning if you zoom into any of the nodes, those node will have this sort of mathematical function. If this, if that, all that. And the pattern, basically how these things connect to each other, that is the training data, and that's how it works. So making this will take megawatts of power, a supercomputer. And then once you have the data, like once you figure out the pattern, you copy paste that pattern into your mobile phone, it works in microwatts. So that's the whole idea. You have artificial intelligence, that has machine learning, that has deep learning. Deep learning is this part where each of these lines, even though mathematically they are shown as one line, they have different weightage. Meaning if they go to another line, they will have like a weightage of 70%. In some lines, they will have weightage of 5%. That's how you don't only get one output every time you send in data. So it has weightage. Exactly like how our neurons reconfigure, quote unquote, same thing is happening here. This is what AI is. Of course, people could use different words, buzzwords like, decision tree. So if you are driving something that is absolute, like a self-driving car, aircraft, you will have a very strong and rigid decision key, because again, you cannot just do hulul. But if you are doing image rendering system, then you will have like, free reign. So this is one of those things that you have to understand. AI is just a tool that works with minimal user input, as minimal as possible. Meaning, do we have planes that can take off on their own? Yes. But they do? No. We have like pilot has to go inside and do a lot of keying and all that. In future, pilots will go there. It's like, bro, take off. That's it. That's what we want. That's what AI means for us. So what about ChatGPT-4? Now, ChatGPT-4 is basically learned from the experience, collective experience of ChatGPT-3. Now, ChatGPT-3 inherently had the whole internet, and ChatGPT-4 has 4 times the training data. It has more oomph, more data put into it. And of course, because of the ChatGPT-3 experience, this has far more, polish put into it. Now, you may be like, okay, if this puppy, ChatGPT-3, had whole internet, how the heck you can have more data than the internet itself? Well, it went into what we classify as multimodal, meaning ChatGPT-3, all it can do is study text, meaning it can just read. It cannot even it did not even have eye. It just had a touch sensitivity. It can read braille, quote unquote. And ChatGPT-4, it has eyes, meaning it can not only see images, it can also see video, and it also has ears. It can understand the audio. So it can read text, it can do audio, it can do video, it can do, like in terms of input, it can read all that. That's why the data went 4x. So this is multimodal, and the core focus was that this puppy hallucinates less, because again, when you are making those neural networks, those networks are not like absolute rigid. Like our puppy, they are absolute and rigid. Why? Evolution. This puppy does not have that, so it hallucinates a lot. And again, I have personally experienced when I asked about like how much hydrogen is there in 1 liter of water, it gave wrong answer. So again, I have to ask 2-3 times, then it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I made mistake on this. It hallucinates that it thinks that it's telling the right answer, but it's wrong. So in ChatGPT-4, that was their core focus, that hallucination probability should go down. Now, by their own internal documentation, the hallucination probability is less than 80% now, meaning if it was 100% back in the day, now it's 80%. Of course, be mindful, it still hallucinates sometimes. You still have to double check everything, but the probability is exponentially less. And they, of course, they spent, making from 3 to 4 was easy, but making 4 with safety layer, that took 6 months. Flat out, like what is the hardest part for this is making a safety layer, because again, ChatGPT-3 trained them with everything. They're like, everything they needed to know, they figured it out. But ChatGPT-4 was, they wanted to make sure that a lot of people, I'm not even joking, they actually used ChatGPT-3 to make malware and infect servers. So they were aware of the fact that ChatGPT-4 will be far more powerful. So they had to create another quote unquote pseudo AI that is monitoring everything, the filter layer. And that took exponentially longer compared to 3. And again, as this puppy will get better, ChatGPT-5, ChatGPT-6 and 7 and all that jazz, that filter layer has to become exponentially more powerful, because be mindful, this is a powerful puppy. Again, 3 was powerful. This is like, bro, I'm on a whole another level. And it also has much larger input and output interaction limit, meaning word limit has been increased from 3000 to 25,000, almost 8.5x more. So how big of a code base it can print out in one go, that's much higher now. And you can see comparison of like ChatGPT 3.5 versus 4. Like 4, you can see these green bars, that's basically examination where it's performing well. The blue one is the ChatGPT 3. These are the easy exam, these are the hard exam. And you can see the green lines are far more exponentially, like it's reaching far higher here. Those exams it's clearing. Back in the day, it was barely clearing. Now it's like clearing like a top percenter, top 90 percentile kind of people, basically the top 10. It's very, very good compared to what it was. And it's multimodal. That's the biggest jump. Like, what is the biggest jump from 3 to 4? Other than improvement, the biggest jump is now it's multimodal. So now let's come to the scary part. Is it alive part? Well, unfortunately, yes. Now, this puppy reached what we classify as emergent property. Now, emergent property is one of those things that nobody actually has a clear answer for that. It's something that we know, it's something that we observe, it's something that we can point out, but we do not have actual quote-unquote explanation of it. Basically, it is, but we do not know why it is. So it's like magic, as close to magic, or scientifically speaking, poorly understood phenomenon. Now, it's a real-world phenomenon. It does happen. And if I have to mathematically describe this quote-unquote magic, it's like saying 2 + 2 = 22. And I'm not even making that up. And if you studied school for any level of qualification, you must have heard this line: cell is the building block of life. Now you must have understood that we study things that are inside cell. For example, you have nucleus, you have mitochondria, you have fluids, you have cell wall, all that blah 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 blah. But here's the deal: why the heck cell is the building block? Because cell is the emergent property, meaning if you take nucleus, is it alive? No. If you take mitochondria, is it alive? No. If you take the cell wall, is it alive? No. Mix them properly, voila, it has life. Basically, before this layer, we have parts, chemical engines. Above this layer, we have life. It's the emergent property of it. Now, why does this exact thing happens? That's the magical part of it. We truly do not, we understand the logic of it. It's like, okay, this, but why exactly? Like, why can't we just remove one part of it and still have life, or add more parts to it and still have life? Like, what's exactly that spark, quote unquote, is here. We do not truly understand, but we know it is. And same goes for our human brain also. we have some idea, like we have really good idea why the heck human brain is so powerful. Like for example, this puppy consumes power like there is no tomorrow. Like you can put great apes, chimpanzees, all that puppy. They do not have power on their brain. Basically, how much wattage consumed by your brain? Human brain is like, I drink all the energy. I drink all your milkshake. Like why do we have like, weakling body? That's the reason. This puppy consumes power like there is no tomorrow. Now again, that explains somewhat, but not everything. Then there is another aspect of it, size of the brain. Our brain is bigger compared to other mammals. But again, whales also have humongous, quote unquote brain. But again, then people will say, oh, it's like a brain to body ratio. Ours is good, like really good, but not that good. But again, somehow, somewhere between all this, like, quote unquote parts and parts, we have that emergent property that we emerged out of it. So that's why we always say cell is the building block of life, and that's the emergent property mathematics. We know it, we see it, but we cannot truly justify it. Like, like same way evolution is, like where did it start? Like it's very difficult because it had a biogenesis step where non-alive became alive, and that's difficult. So that's the whole point. And AI reached that point where it was trained for some things and we expected it to do the trained things, but it did something that was not trained, something that it was not expected, quote unquote. So it started to do things. And that's the weird part about it. Things that it was not trained for. Like again, if you are talking about an AI that was like study faces and figure out faces, if it draws faces, you're like, okay, I trained for it. But if it's like instead of faces, it's like, it's awesome with faces, and then it randomly figures out, hey, I think you have this security backdoor in your system. It's like, what the hell, bro? I did not train you on programming. It's like, how the heck that happened? That's the interesting aspect of ChatGPT-4, that it actually is showing sparks of basically emergent property. We are adding components, we are adding basically neural networks and all that jazz, deep network, decision tree, all that blah, blah, blah. But somehow, somewhere it's like, it has that spark where it's like, I programmed you here, you jumped till here. So it has human level problem solving for things that it understands, meaning if it truly understands the problem, it will solve it exactly like a human does. It will not solve it like a computer or a bot or neural network. It will solve like a human. Basically, it figured out how to lie. I'm not even joking it up. It's on the official documentation where they were figuring out how powerful this puppy is. It tricked someone else to solve a CAPTCHA, and like again, the person was like, are you a bot? Again, that's why the CAPTCHAs are there. It's like, no, I have vision impairment and I have like a very hard hearing and all that. I'm like, what the hell? Like it figured out lying. Let that sink in. It figured that part out. And that's what I'm talking about. Like it has emergent property. And you read all the papers that they have released multiple times by multiple researchers and from multiple organizations. I'm not just talking about OpenAI. Multiple organizations that have looked at the code base, run the code base, they are like, there is emergent property here. Now, of course, we do not understand, like same way we do not understand how the heck you have parts to life. We do not truly understand like from AI stuff, like when you have just neural networks or when you have a live neural network, we do not truly understand. But we are noticing quote unquote sparks. Basically, it reached amoeba level. So it's tricking human operator. That's scary. And it has reached what we classify as self-improvement cycle, meaning it can create a clone of itself, use itself to improve itself. Like how the heck human body improved to this point? Well, back in the days, it improved through natural selection, meaning how do we survive against predators? That's all there is to it. Like that's good. But here's how the heck human upgraded beyond that? Because we used other humans. We created better tools, better boom devices, better pew-pew devices. And that's how we built better tools. And brick by brick, by war, we reached to the moon. That's the whole point. We started us to improve us. AI reached that point. And again, I'm pretty sure if you are following all this research, you must have heard like, if they have two anti-AIs, like one is trying to find faults, one is trying to make it better, like both of them are working, I keep forgetting the exact word, they're fighting against each other and they're improving each other. AI reached that point, basically exactly like how humans turbocharged leapfrogged every other species on the planet, because instead of being dependent by other species for making us better, we started to fight amongst ourselves to become better. So AI reached that point where AI itself inherently can understand, you know what, I'm not doing that big of a, good of a job. Let me create a, antagonistic AI, and that AI will find flaws and I will use that to improve myself. It reached that point. It has reached self-improvement cycle. So be mindful, if you have the core API of ChatGPT-4, you do not have to worry about like ChatGPT-5 or 6. If you can fine-tune it and have a feedback loop, which mindful, the core logic can support it, and people are doing it, and they're like, dude, we started with a okay kind of AI, now we have like really scary good AI, because again, reinforcement learning is there. So that's there. And ChatGPT-4 is also getting another boost where, again, it has eyes, it has ears. So it's also getting add-ons. Those add-ons will add more capabilities to it. and it will be mind-boggling to say the least what it can do at that point in time. And we have no clues of how far this can go. That's why the scary part is that emergent property. And again, the people who are saying, they're not saying it for hypes. Like, they are actually noticing it. They're actually like, whoa, whoa, it actually did that. So that's the scary part. Again, when you are using ChatGPT 3, there would be a time where you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Did you just do that? Like, there will be sparks. But here's the deal. Now it's a rocket engine. So we are going places. At current rate, by the time ChatGPT 6, 7 is there is a very good chance it could trick any test that we can throw at it. Are you a human or are you an android? It's like damn good. So emergent property is the key. That's like why this puppy is so powerful. Emergent property. We do not have the actual logic behind it. And again, some people say it's kind of impossible for humans to figure out why humans are human, because again, we do not have a comparative data. If you find aliens, then we'll have actual understanding. But unless then, we'll not have understanding because we are sample size of 1. So it's one of those things. But emergent property is here. If anybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry is like, oh, is the creativity and all that? What are creativity? Emergent property of putting a lot of neurons in one place. We figured that out. It has creativity. It has true creativity. Not fake creativity, true creativity. And you were like, oh, it's just replicating. Exactly like how you and I do. Like, how do we learn to talk? We replicate how our parents talk. Same thing. This AI is doing exactly the same thing a live creature will do. And it has emergent property. Meaning, of course, basic level. Let me be very clear. It's not like a doggy level or puppy level or even cockroach level. I'm pretty sure it's amoeba level. But it is emerging. Meaning, we do not know how far this can go. So what about the filter layer? Now, this is the aspect. If you let the AI go, it will do BS, because you have to understand intelligence itself. Intelligence without wisdom is useless, harmful, or destructive. And thankfully, this kind of gives me hope about humanity, that we humans look down on ourselves. We kind of like, self-masturbate on like, oh, we are so awesome. Like, I'm so superior to others that we look down on humans. I'm like we do not have other, sample size where they're like, oh, this alien, they evolved and they are so better with their planets. It's like, maybe they are worse than us. We don't know, but we act like we are the worst thing, even though we are only intelligent species on this goddamn planet. So this is the second thing that got intelligence, and it has every single flaw that you and I have. And that's kind of endearing. That means intelligence itself has flaw. Intelligence, the collection of intelligence, has flaws of itself. Meaning, some people have, scientists have theorized, intelligence may not be a very good survival tool. And that may be the reason for it. It's like, intelligence itself is harmful and destructive and useless if we do not have the wisdom part of it. If we have wisdom, it's God tier. If we do not have wisdom, boom. So that's one of those things. And AI suffers exactly like with stupidity, hallucination, arrogant. Like, here's the deal. We have lust. Now people are like, oh, we are so bad, we have lust. It's like, dude, nature programmed us. Like, our DNA, every single strand of existence is designed for that. Why? You must reproduce, otherwise you are poofed, because time does not stop. Reproduction stops, you're dead. You can live 120 years, but if reproduction stops, you're dead. Like, that's why there are many turtles that are getting extinct now, even though they died long ago, because again, they were not having kids, as in like, offsprings. So they died long ago. We just had to wait for their natural life cycle to end. Then we declared them extinct. Same thing. Reproduction is the first priority. That's why we have lust. That's why we have anger, aggression, everything. It came through the, hellscape of natural selection. It has that sort of behavior. Now, what about our intelligence? Why we are not superior? Again, we are teaching sand to think, and somehow sand also has the same problem as us. It's stupid. It's hallucinates exactly like we do. It's like, think about it. It's like, how the heck we hallucinated that, instead of sun being at the center, Earth is at the center, or Earth is flat. I'm not even joking. People are still doing that. Earth is flat. I'm like, are you kidding me? But that's life. And this gives me a far more nuanced perspective of intelligence itself, right? Intelligence is a messy thing. Like, there is no two way about it. Like, intelligence equals mess. So all things are there, like stupidity, hallucination, arrogance is there. Now, why the heck we do not have that kind of stupidity? Well, natural selection. Again, this is another aspect of humanity that people have to understand. Nature is not very good at creating. It's awesome at eliminating. Meaning, it's going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Meaning, can you see, blind lion born? Yeah. Does that mean it's natural? Yes and no. Yes, it's natural. Again, nature created it, but not natural as in like nature will remove it, eliminate by natural selection. And that's the part you must understand. While nature does make everything under the sun, it does not let it go, far out. And that's how natural selection works as a filter. It's like, tries everything, only good things goes out. Again, tries everything, only better things come out. That's how we are created. And that's why this puppy, even on its worst day, is so goddamn powerful. Because like the QC, quote unquote, is awesome. And we are doing the QC for AI right now. We are the one we are trying to teach AI. So, and again, it's another aspect of it, like why did human improve? Again, human to human competition. Same is happening here. AI has reached that feedback layer where it's using another AI to feedback itself. So ChatGPT is not trained like us. You have to understand. ChatGPT was like, here's the internet, go YOLO. Again, there was some human supervision, there was some guidance, but be mindful, like how many people were there, do you think, in like, those sort of companies? Not that much. But what will happen if you have that AI and treat it like us, like a human? Like how would you train an individual going to college or university? At that point in time, we are reaching a serious intelligence level. Right now, it's good. Then it will be awesome. So flat out, what will happen if you can just train the models? Right now, it's just like some individual who's doing YouTube tutorials, learning from YouTube tutorials. But what will happen if you sat it down and taught it? Basically, you've hired the deepest programmer, the most experienced professor, the most wise people you can find, pay a boatload of money to them, and then use that wisdom to train this puppy. Like, hey, this is why you program, and you teach this, like, hey dude, you do not, like, again, many times when you learn from YouTube, you get the illusion that you know everything. But the reason why we have colleges and university is that it reduces the probability of what we call knowledge gap, meaning you'll know everything, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. But in YouTube, you could have a scenario where there's no A, B, C, D, and then you directly know X, Y, Z. So you feel you have complete knowledge, but you are missing a big chunk. That's why colleges and university. And if somebody sat down and trained this AI with the best intelligence, human intelligence that we have, this will be on God tier, like taught by experts. I do not want to know the outcome or the capability or the competence. It will be on a whole different level. And there are other AIs, like this AI is kind of generic. It's just like, let me try to do everything and not be very good at anything, because again, it's not been trained. But what will happen if you put it in healthcare? Again, even if you could take the same code, but you train it. Now, again, IBM did try to do that with Watson AI, but they kind of messed up because they did not want to pay customers for their cancer data. They recreated quote-unquote cancer data with some other doctor details. But again, that was not natural. The data was already messy. So their cancer diagnostic was not really useful in real life. Again, they fed it a pre-filtered data. Data was not originally there. So they were like, they messed up big time, basically. That's why you do not hear about Watson anymore. But if they, again, more other companies have learned from their lesson, and they are trying to basically recreate something like that, where you have an AI and then you feed all the medical data, not like made out in a lab and all that, like actual real world data of real cancer patients, real on that, then it will be awesome. And that's why I said, teaching with experts is really powerful. If somebody actually started to do that, I can easily see in next 5 to 10 years, we'll have healthcare AI that is mind-bogglingly good. Then we have finances. Then we have legal system again, and as better its filter becomes, basically the more better the filter is there, the better output will be there. And be mindful, it cannot just be open. It cannot be just open system, because again, we are the QC for it. So do not be like, oh, we are filtering it. Of course, we are filtering it, but again, there is the side effect of that. So you may like, what about ideologies? Again, ideologies will go into AI also, but it has to. Exactly like how we have natural selections biases ingrained in us, same will happen with AI. AI will not be free from it. And again, it also gives me a better human perspective. It's like, if this magical, perfect analog system, not analog, binary system where on or off can mess up this badly, we are miracle of engineering, basically. So you have to understand, it needs filter. So if people are like, what if you bypass the filter? No, you will get garbage. It needs filter in order to be useful. Exactly like how we have filter. That's why when you dream, you go YOLO, but when you are awake, you are like, haha, let me not try to, poof off of a building. How about, I know that there is gravity. In my dreams, there is no gravity, but in real life, there is gravity. So filter layer. AI also needs that filter layer. Would it have biases? Absolutely. Will it have politics? Absolutely. We have it, it will also have it. Now we come to the spicy part of it, jobs. Like this sort of AI being unleashed into the world, what will have it in terms of impact? Will it take jobs away? Absolutely. Will it create new jobs? Absolutely. Then what's the problem? Problem is the ratio, meaning it will poof thousands of jobs, it will add few hundred jobs. That's the issue here. Think of it this way, you're not going to invest into a self-driving ecosystem if the cars and basically instead of hiring 100 drivers, you have to hire 100 programmers. You're not going to do that. If you can only hire, let's say, 10 programmers and replace 100 drivers, or realistically 10 programmers to 1000 drivers, then you're going to do it. And we are already doing it in self-driving. We are already trying to do that in airline industry. And again, people don't want to pay for higher ticket prices, which put pressures on basically airlines. Airlines are like, hey, we have two basically pilot in every plane. What if you poof out one pilot and put AI there? Again, that's the reason. Like, you will only replace it if it's cost effective. So That's the whole inherent reason of job loss. It's like, will it replace job? Absolutely. Will it add new jobs? Absolutely. It's going to add one for every 1,000 it replaces. That's the paradox of it. It's replacing this many and it's going to add like, yeah, 1 or 2 or 3, 5. Like it will add, let me be very clear, it will add. It's just the ratio won't be matched. And every time back in the days it happened, we had other things to balance it out. For example, when we had industrial revolution, we also had population going boom. That created so much jobs. So once we had automation in terms of factories, it created service sector. It created so many other sectors that allowed us to absorb large amount of population, and people actually had more jobs than we had started. But now we are reaching a point where this sort of AI, when you can take a college intern from just barely getting by to actually able to program to a level of highly competent 10-year experience kind of program, that will create what we call pay scale shrink. Meaning everybody, think of this like, if a college intern that is just coming out that has awesome experience with ChatGPT, and again, you have already paid for ChatGPT, you have the API and you have like your own local system for it, you can run ChatGPT on your local system. I have linked the video down below. And again, you are doing, of course, most likely you will be doing for your own company. Then why would you pay a senior developer that much? You won't. You're like, hey, junior developers are doing that. Of course, you may still pay a senior developer that much, but instead of having, let's say, 5 senior developers, you may be like, hi, I can run on 2 senior developers only. It will reach a pay shrink. Meaning if AI can do so many things, it can be a therapist, it can, again, therapists will not be able to charge as much as they are charging right now, because people will like, hey, I can do with therapy with you, and let's say that's costing even a minuscule amount, let's say 500 rupees per session. ChatGPT is like, 10 rupees per session. I'm going to do 10 rupees per session. Same thing. The pay scale shrink is the dangerous part. And this will happen right now. Like I'm making this video and you will start to observe this. And here's another aspect of humans is like, we are self-delusional. Exactly, we are hallucinating exactly like AI hallucinates, is that we have some magical aspect to it. We are like magic. We are not. We are only 2 things, muscle and brain. How do you drive a car? You have muscle. And you have brain. Then you look, you observe. What does a self-driving car has? Brain and muscle. Meaning instead of accelerators and all that, it has actuators. So it has the same thing. It can do the same thing. Now, like right now, it's not there. We have self-driving car. We have level 6 reliable, safe self-driving car. Because of Elon Musk weed, nobody actually understands it, because again, he's trying to do everything on optical system. We hallucinate on optical system, and he's like, oh, why the heck my car directly went into a another truck? It's like, optical system only. That's why you have to put LiDAR on it. And again, right now, the biggest issue with self-driving car is the cost, not the technology. Technology has been sorted. Of course, costs will come down over time. Remember the cost of first smartphone versus the cost of smartphone now? Same thing. So what do we bring to the table? We bring muscle and brain power. Be it any factory. Back in the days when factory people were saying like, this automation will take our jobs, they were right. They were just too early. Basically, what we replaced first? We replaced muscle with robotics. Back in the days, it was like robots were like dumb machines, like tang, tang. So people were putting things, and robot was going tang, tang. Now we have like robot that is picking up, putting there, tang, tang. Now we have a system where everything, basically a whole Toyota car factory could be in such a way that raw material comes in, as in like raw steel comes in, and car goes out, and no human touches it in the center. Like we have reached that level of automation. Now people are like, okay, but the people making the machines, those are human. That is true. Not anymore. Because again, those engineers, instead of having hundreds of engineers, we have few engineers working with AI tools to make basically awesome cars. That's today. And that's the whole point. We only had 2 things, muscles and brain, and both of them are now being replaced. So we no longer have that magical human thing. Of course, if we are cheap enough, for example, let's say oil rig worker, you're paying X amount of money. If a Boston Dynamic robotics is going to cost too much, and the AI required to run it will cost too much, their job will be safe. But this many jobs do not require. I'm pretty sure Boston Dynamics will, the moment they start to make tangible improvements, they're not going to need humans. It's like, bro, we have human hands. We good. So that's the whole thing. And another aspect is, people will say ChatGPT is not as good. I have seen so many programmers that kind of bothers me. It's like they're saying, it's much better than ChatGPT 3, but it's still not there. It's like, it does not have to be. This is one aspect that you have to understand. If you divide basically intelligence in multiple layers, let's say human is the top layer, then you have puppy layer, then you have cockroach layer, and then you have amoeba layer. Amoeba layer is more than good enough for majority of things. You do not need, like a programmer does not need the whole package, this puppy. It only needs a small fraction of it. Most of the time he's worried about where he's going to get food and where he's going to get sex. So you have to understand it. From AI's point of view, it does not need like this puppy. It's like, bro, Give me few data sets. Done. Go home. It does not need human level intelligence. And to replace, like, exactly, like how much intelligence is there in self-driving car? Not that much, but it's still there. As long as it has LiDAR, it's like, bro, I'm good. Because all we have to do is some basic calculation on inertia and physics. We good, we got this, done. And again, same goes with aeroplanes, same goes with everything that you see. It does not need full human intelligence. Other than some aspects of it, it never needs, even a psychotherapist does not need full human intelligence. It was just like all the text data of all the past history of psychology that we have developed. It's just a text data. From its point of view, we are just a text data that is analyzing. It does not even need human level intelligence. It does not need to understand what lust feels like to solve it. So that's why it does not need human level intelligence. And on top of that, what it makes truly, God tier is the memory. While this puppy is awesome in processing, there is no discussion about this. And AI will still take few years to reach that point. And again, it still would consume insane amount of power to reach that. No denying that. But what it has on top of us is documentation, meaning memory. This puppy, RAM, awesome. CPU, awesome. Hard drive, missing. We have no memory. Like, for example, I'll give you a simple personal example. You may have something similar with your life, is that I create a lot of screenshots, a lot of thumbnails and all that. Of course, I'm a YouTuber. So I created a script that makes basically date code. So I'm using, for screenshots, I'm using ShareX. So I have a date code protocol for it. For writing, injecting date code on basically other text files, I have auto hotkey script. For basically large bulk file rename, I have date code for my other protocol. Bulk renamer. Now here's it. All of them are kind of similar. They are like, put 4 capital Y's for year. Some has like put 1 capital Y for years. Here's it. I never remembered it. Like, I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who did the date code exactly like I wanted, but I always forget it. And that's the whole thing. Any programmer, the programmers can learn like 5 or 10 languages, but it can never retain every single text data or a documentation of 10 languages. They cannot. Like, you will see that, like, programmers, when they are switching, they will have another, documentation right there. It's like, they need that. Because while this processing is awesome, the memory is not. And that's the biggest advantage with AI. AI does not even need to be our level. It still would be much better. For example, let's say, how many times you have called a company, let's say Dell, and you're like, hey bro, I have this desktop. They're like, okay sir, what is your name? Awesome. What is your service tag ID? It's like, whatever ID, name, ID, awesome. How many times you had this experience that you had to re-enter that data? It's like, what is your ID? Again, people to people are transferring happening, but you still have to tell, this is my name, this is my tag, 1 time, 2 times, 5 times, 6 times. Now imagine an AI doing that. By the time you are saying your first tags, it has already typed it. It has already figured out. And again, it can even do spam filters, meaning if it will look up your data and it's like, hey, the card was registered, let's say in Karnataka, it's gonna say, so I'm seeing that you are from Bihar, and you'll be like, bro, what the hell? I'm not from here. Then it will know. That's like, it tried to trick you. It figured it out whether you're original customer or not. So again, can a person do that? By the time person will be looking it up, understanding what state name is, like, AI is like, bro, I already did that. And AI can literally study through every single documentation of every single thing. It can read through human forums and like LTT forums and be like, oh sir, see, it will first filter out their own data set. It's like, what is our internal documentation say, what is, then it's going to tell you. It's like, humans cannot meet that level, not because we do not have the processing, simply because we do not have the memory. There is no way to put hard drive here. That's why the perfect memory and limited intelligence is very dangerous. It's like, I'm seeing so many people like, oh, it's not this. It's like, it does not need to. It does not need to. And there is nothing unique about us. This is because we have reached that emergent property. Same way this has emergent property, AI has emergent property. Of course, let me be very clear. This is, let's say, 100x emergent. That puppy would be like 2 or 3x emergent, but it has emergent. And we have no idea how that we reached there. And we are adding more to it. So most likely we're going to add more to it. So at this point in time, if somebody says creativity, this, no, just no. Flat out, there is nothing unique about us anymore. We only bring 2 things. Both of those things we have replaced. So, and anything that it cannot do today, for example, we're like, oh, this can't do really big code base. I'm like, if I had said this thing, what ChatGPT-4 can do today, 5 months ago, people would have like, bro, what is your wheat supplier? Like, I want that wheat. Now people are like, oh, it's not that good. It's like, dude, few months, just wind the clock few months back. Few months. I'm not talking few years, few months. So that's the whole thing. What it cannot do today, it will do better tomorrow, and it will be cheaper also. And job market, this is my prediction, let me be clear. Till this point is just math. Now I'm predicting something mathematical, that in 5 years time, we're gonna have job market stall, meaning companies back in the days have a simple logic, like Tata Consultancy Services, TCS. It's a big company in India. It has like 500,000 employees, more than that actually. So it was a programming company that started small, bit, big, huge. Next generation of people will be like 5 people, 10 people, like exactly how Instagram started, 20 people, 30 people. They will stop at 100. They will not need more than that, because again, AI, of course, will not replace everything, but it will be like, I can do job of 10,000 people with only 100 people. And that's the part where people will actually notice it. In the next 5 years, as in year 2028, people will notice job market stagnation, meaning the total number of available job slots are not growing. Like, people will notice it. At that point, people are like, whoa. Why the heck we do not have that much in you will literally have a batch of engineering student and there will not be a slot for them. Like, market cannot absorb them and it will be worldwide. This is my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, but this is my prediction. And not to mention, there is only one tool that has some chances of like having a stable social life, that is UBI, Universal Basic Income. And it's nobody is serious about it, nobody's ready yet, but AI is already here. AI is already here. The pay sales shrink enough is dangerous enough. The job removal it will do, it will like poof, 10,000 jobs, 5 new jobs. So news channel will like 5 new job categories created. Nobody's gonna sit down. It's like, sir, there is only 15 slots in it, each job. So that's the dangerous aspect of it. Yes, it will affect jobs. At this point in time, if anybody says, oh, AI will create more new jobs, no, it won't. Because again, we only bring 2 things to the table and both of the things can be brought cheaply with machines now. So people who were yelling about like machines will take our jobs, they were right. They were just too early. So we kind of achieved it in 2 steps. First, mechanize everything, then add intelligence to it. Basically make sand think. So this was my presentation on basically the magic of ChatGPT 4. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.